My name is Lynn Lush, Training Manager with Fun Stamper's Journey. And in this video, we're going to talk about bows. Bows can sometimes be one of the most frustrating things to learn about, but I'm going to share with you today about a specific bow, and we call it the double bow. Often we use this as a fun way to add an embellishment to a project. So let's go ahead and talk about the double bow. And I'm going to start with this ribbon right here because it tends to be one of the easiest to learn with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the ribbon on my hand. Now I'm right-handed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little bit of end right here, not too much, but just a little bit of the end right here. And I'm going to use my thumb and I'm going to place it on my finger right here, my middle finger. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my ribbon around my fingers. Now the thing that's important to note is depending on how wide I have my fingers will determine how wide and how much of a width I have for my bow. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my fingers about this far apart right here. Again, depending on how wide your fingers are will determine how big of a bow you create. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap my ribbon around my index finger. Now I'm going to create an figure 8. So I'm going to wrap it around that finger, and now I'm creating that figure 8, and I'm going around the middle finger right there. Again, I'm going to go in a figure 8 motion, and I'm going to bring it up and around my index finger again. Now you'll see I have 2 loops right there, thus we're creating the double bow. And now I'm going to bring that around, again, figure 8, and I'm going to wrap it around the middle finger again. So now what I have is I have the basics of my bow, and now I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to take the other end here, and you'll notice here that I have a little V in between my fingers here. I'm going to take this end and I'm going to push it through the middle of the V, and now I have this little wrap area here. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to take the end here and I'm going to go underneath this little wrap area and pull up and tighten my bow. Now this is important here to tighten down your bow, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to release it, take the bow off of my finger, and if I turn it around here, I now have my basic bow. So one of the things that's important when you're bow tying is don't be afraid to work with your bow and kind of straighten it out a little bit. But the way we've tied this bow is we've tied it so that it is locked down. It's not loose. So it's going to make it really easy for you to be able to use this on any of your projects. Now I do have the ability to reuse the ribbon, so I'm going to walk that through one more time. So I release it, untie it. I'm going to repeat it again one more time. So I'm going to lay the end over my hand, and I'm going to determine how wide I want it, and I'm going to wrap it around my index finger and then the middle finger, but I'm going to do a figure 8, wrap it. I'm going to go up and do another figure 8 around my index finger. So now there's 2 loops there. I'm going to do another figure 8 around my middle finger again. I've now created my bow. I'm going to now lock it down. So I'm going to put the end here through the V. And now this little area right here that I've just wrapped, I'm going to take the end, put it under the loop, bring it up, and lock it down. Pulling, take it off my fingers, and thus I have a double bow. I would just take the ends right here, snip off however I want to create my ends. I'm going to put them at a little angle there. Snip that off a little bit more to even it out. And now I have my bow ready to put on my project. Now let's go ahead and move on to a different type of ribbon or material that you can use. This right here is our thread. We have two different types of materials like this. This is the thread and this is Journey twine. Our Journey twine is a little bit thicker, so it's going to make a bow a little bit different. It's gonna give it a little bit different consistency, and I'll show you that in just a bit. But I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with my previous ribbon. I'm going to lay my end over my hand, determine how wide I want my bow to be, and I'm going to wrap it around my index finger and then around my middle finger. Do it one more time, doing a figure 8, index finger, middle finger, and now I have two different loops right there. I'm going to take the end, put it through the V, and now I still have that same wrap. I'm going to take this end and put it underneath and pull the end, lock it down, and now I have a double bow. Using a thread, I'm going to just snip off the ends. Now, I wanted to share with you that this is a bow using our thread, and this is a bow using our twine. It's very similar, but as I mentioned, the twine is a little bit thicker, and so it's just going to lay. This one's a little more flouncy. This one, because it has a little bit of a kind of a waxy feel to it, it's going to be a little bit stiffer. But you're still going to have a fun look. Now I'm going to share one additional fun thing since we're talking about our thread and twine. Is repeating the same technique one more wrap around, I have the ability to create a triple bow. It's the exact same thing, except I'm wrapping it around one more time and then tying it off. So you can see here the difference between a double bow, and I can simply just add one more loop around using the figure 8 on my fingers, and I can have a triple bow. I want to now share with you one last way to create the double bow, and that's using satin ribbon. Now, depending on the width of your ribbon, when you're using a satin ribbon, depending on, again, the width, you might need a little bit longer piece of ribbon. So you kind of have to play with it to see what works for you, but I'm going to do the exact same thing. So here I have my ribbon. I'm going to lay it on my hand just like I did before. Now, the one thing I want to share with you additionally is this particular satin ribbon is satin on one side and not satin on this side. It's not double satin sided. So I want to kind of change my loops a little bit because I want the satin to be on the outside. So it just takes a little bit practice. It's the exact same technique, but just a little bit of twisting. So again, I lay my ribbon on my hand and I wrap it around my index finger. Now, because I want my satin to be showing on the other loop as well, I'm going to twist my ribbon. So now that this loop on my middle finger is now showing the satin, and then I'm going to twist it again so that my index finger also has satin. I'm going to twist it one more time. Here's my second loop and my last loop. I'm going to bring it up. Now I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to take the end. I still got that V. I'm going to push it through the V. Okay, now I have my wrap around here. I'm now going to push the end underneath and through that wrap, knot it off, tighten it up. And now when I take it off, I now have the satin on the outside of both ends. And again, remember, don't be afraid to play with the ribbon a little bit to make sure that you get it the way you want it to look. Then I'm just going to snip off the ends, and there we have our satin ribbon. So as you can see, if you practice, you're going to be doing these in no time flat. You are going to be an expert, and I hope that you have enjoyed this training in this little video on how to create a double bow, and just make sure that you grab a piece of ribbon and practice, 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 and you'll be a pro in no time. Have a great day.